Good morning. We are live. We are here with Cam. Stewart, how are you doing, Cam?
Hi, Nick. Good, thank you.
Cam, what is your official title? You got a bit of a long title there.
Yeah. So just for context, I lead the PGCE secondary maths program here, but I've got a wider kind of role within IT, which is recruitment, retention, and communication across all of our three IT programs.
Magic. Thanks very much for your time today. So we're talking today all about applying for PGCE. So my name's Nick. I'm work on the primary education studies course. A lot of our students will be applying soon. For those on the course, you're guaranteed an interview, not guaranteed a place. So hopefully today this will help you, give you some pearls of wisdom from Cam to help you apply. So first thing we're going to talk about is, what is a PGCE? Then we'll talk a little bit about qualified teacher status. So PGCE, I had someone in my session the other day saying, what even is PGCE? What does it even stand for?
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? It's one of those things you just say quite quickly and, you don't even think about it. So a PGCE is a postgraduate certificate in education. So that is obviously the postgraduate part. It's something you complete, after you've completed your undergraduate degree. And it basically allows you to teach. It allows you to teach in Wales, in the rest of the UK and internationally as well. And in terms of QTS, you'll need to get used to, well, you probably have already, acronyms. There's so many acronyms in teaching, isn't there? But QTS, Qualified Teacher Status. So once you've completed a PGCE, hopefully with us, then you're going to get QTS, which is Qualified Teacher Status, which will allow you to teach out there in the big world.
Cool. Okay, so this changes a lot. This is obviously Welsh Government. They set the requirements for how you become a teacher. So what are the requirements for you? I know it's changed a bit. So we're going into 23, 24. Tell us a bit about what's the course requirements.
Yeah, it has changed a little bit. So it's kind of worth bearing this in mind, particularly if you speak to kind of like relatives or friends that have done it in the past, because it has changed. It changed a year or so back. So I'll give you the most up-to-date information. So in terms of course requirements, so you're going to need an undergraduate degree. You're going to need at least a 2-2 in that to get on. So keep working hard on that. And then there are a number of GCSE kind of requirements as well. Now, this is the part that's changed. So they did used to be B grades, but a lot of pressure on Welsh governments, to get more people into teaching. So they're actually in maths, English and science now. It's C grade or above. Okay, so C grade or above in all of those three. And I know in Wales, we have maths and maths numeracy, for example, and we have English and we have English lit. So as long as you've got a C grade in those, in all of them, then great, you can get on. You may have had friends that have done an equivalency route. We used to offer equivalency exams. So if you were a grade below, you could come to us, we'd support you. Welsh Government have taken that off the table. So you need to hit your C grade in your maths, English and science prior to application. Now, if you haven't, there are some external companies, equivalencytesting.com is the one that first jumps at my mind, that you can go to bump your grade up, but that's something you'd have to pay for yourself and do on your own back.
And as well, it's worth mentioning, I can talk through this in sessions, but a number of our students, they actually go to colleges. They have that tuition throughout the year. There are some deals between Cardiff Met and some colleges to bump you up to that C grade. Again, we're not going to cover it now. We can talk to you about that in sessions.
The other bit of kind of entry requirements, course requirements I didn't mention, so thanks for the visual prompt there, Nick, is the school experience. Ideally 10 days is what we say, but we actually put a minimum on it as 5. And you guys will obviously will have that, I'm sure, because of your undergraduate degree. But that's really important to us because that's something we're going to ask you about in interview, and it actually gives you a real insight into whether teaching is for you. So that's the reason we ask for it.
Yeah, so past students, again, we have so much experience with schools, going into schools, you've got schools coming in, keep a record of it somewhere, maybe a bit of a digital CV, take some pictures. Always good on your application, potentially have a QR code to take you to a portal, show off what you've done. That's a really big point. Okay, in terms of your application process, it's coming up for a lot of students. We're recording this at the start of the year, September. Can you just tell us a little bit about what the application looks like and then when they need to apply?
Yeah, sure. So if I give the kind of big context really, is that the PGCE primary program is really, really popular. It's oversubscribed. We could probably fill it 2-3 times over every year. Okay, and that's nothing to worry about. You guys, because of your excellent choice of undergraduate degree, are guaranteed an interview. But what it does mean, it does mean that you need to get on this now, really, because we're going to open. Probably, I think UCAS opens end of October. There are dates going in for interviews start in November already. So, time goes fast, doesn't it? You need to start thinking about this today, really. And often we will close early. So some of our secondary pathways stay open right until end of August, but primary we'll always end up closing at January, February time, just because we fill up with really good people. So now is the big message there. In terms of the application process, so you obviously apply through UCAS. You'll be writing your personal statement on there, which is really important because that tells us about you. That's your chance to sell yourself to us. So talk about your school experience, talk about what makes you you in terms of your extracurricular stuff. So that's super important. But of course, then once that application is off and you've got your references in, so you need an academic reference, and maybe Nick might be a reference, or one of the other tutors potentially, you go through a DBS check. So we will make sure that you haven't done anything in your background which wouldn't allow you to come with us. And then you would be invited for interview, and that interview happens online, which is good actually. It makes it far more flexible for you and for us to get those arranged. But the one thing that's really important is that we send you some pre-interview tasks. Now, they're not arduous at all. They're just a little bit of background reading. You need to think about what the attributes of a good teacher are. And I like this task because there's no right or wrong. Me and Nick would maybe disagree, and that's fine. We could chew the cud and argue it out. So you bring to the interview those attributes, and you will discuss them. And you will also do a little bit of reading, very light reading, where you'll come and we'll ask you a question on some of the reading you've done. So the reason we changed it to this is because I always felt it was a little bit unfair. You turn up to an interview and it's a bit of a guessing game, isn't it? What are they going to ask me? Well, do you know what? We're going to tell you. This is one of the things we're going to ask you. So you've got some time to prepare and turn up on the day and be the best you. So that's two of the questions, are those pre-prepared. And then the other questions we'll ask you at interview are, why do you want to be a teacher, basically, in various different guises? Because that's really important, isn't it? We'll talk about your motivation. We'll really get a feel for what's driving you to be a teacher. So nothing to be scared about. It's a real opportunity to kind of sell yourself and sell your experiences.
Well, I've got to see a bit of a visual prompt, but it is a massive one. Maybe it's a British thing, but I don't think we tend to sell ourselves. You have to remember it's an interview process. It starts from your application process. So that personal statement, sell yourself. You've got some amazing experience, all of you on the course. Tell staff on the ITE program, what have you done? How have you worked with children? What have you done in your placement? Use examples. Don't just say, I've worked with children. Say exactly how, specifically, give examples. They're huge things and they go a long way.
I think there's one final thing for me on that. I think as well, show us your personality as well, because you're going to be a teacher. If you're kind of talking to us about some experience, which is great, but it's not, you're not portraying it, you're not selling it to us, then we are going to make a judgment on that, because at the end of the day, you're going to be in front of 30 kids, and who need to listen and need to enjoy what you're saying.
Yeah, so important. Just a bit of an overview of the course. I know obviously there's so much good information on the PGCE Cardiff Met webpage, but just a bit of an overview. What does the course look like? What can they expect?
Yeah, sure. So, first and foremost, best thing you can do is just Google PGCE Primary Cardiff Met. Top result. Really, really good web page. It's got all the entry requirements on there. I've even got it up now as a bit of a sell. It's my crib sheet. It's got everything on there that you need to know about the program. So that would be my first protocol. But in terms of the overview of the program is really nicely structured, I think. So obviously it starts right at the start of September. We started on September the 4th this year, so very, very early, and it runs until June. And we have a kind of 3-week induction period at the start, which we've just come to the end of, which is really intense, actually. It's in university, for all days, 9 till 5, most days, where we're really front loading you with a load of information that you need to go out to school. And then you go out to school. So our students this year currently now are starting on Thursday into their first placement, where they'll be until Christmas time. But we don't just send them out and say goodbye, see you at Christmas. We have these return days. So our return days are every Wednesday going forward. So if you imagine, you'd be out at school teaching, come to us on a Wednesday, have a bit of a cutch, kind of go through some of the stuff we've learned, some of the things we want to discuss, and we really pick apart what we've seen. So those days are great. Then just after Christmas, we have 2 weeks of back with us, which we call interplacement fortnights. And then you're off into a second school then, which will be quite contextually different to what you've had in your first placement. And those Wednesdays remain. So you'll still be coming back to us now on those Wednesdays. We've got a period at the end called enrichment, which if you pass and everything's gone swimmingly, you get 2 weeks where you can go out and do something really cool in an educational setting. Some people go and work in the museum for a bit, or they go into the educational department at Cardiff City, which I had an email from earlier saying they want to work with us, so that's an opportunity for you to diversify and open your eyes to the world of education. So it's a really great program. To summarize, 2 placements, loads of university support, quite front loaded, Wednesday spine for the rest of the year.
We used to live for the university return days. It was like a counselling session, but make friends for life there.
Yeah, definitely.
I just want to flag, because they've been absolutely brilliant. They're brilliant every year. Look, for a lot of you, you've been applying in your year 3, you've got dissertation, you've got other modules going on. This doesn't need to be done by yourself. Cam mentioned, obviously, you need a reference, so definitely meet with your personal tutors. Cardiff Met Careers are amazing. Bev and her team and Steve, they are so helpful. Just book a meeting with them. Go on the Cardiff Met student portal, go on to careers. Their diaries are open. They can help with personal statements. They can help with the application process. They can even help you with interviews, interview prep. They are super, super helpful. So a big plug for them. And as Cam mentioned, there's super helpful advice. There's like frequently asked questions. Again, just Google Cardiff Met PGCE. Everything else is there. Cam, anything else you wanted to add just before we close up?
Just one final thing for me, really, I just forgot to mention, of course, is that we offer the programme through English, which is obviously very popular. We also offer it through Welsh. And the Welsh medium sector is really, really booming at the minute, to the point we need more teachers. So if you can speak Welsh, or maybe, lacking a bit of confidence, we can support you with that, and to work through the Welsh medium pathway when career prospects are outstanding as well. So.
Awesome. Bendigedig. Thank you very much. Hwyl fawr. Thanks so much. Guys, if you need any more help with this, please come and see us as personal tutors. Go and see careers, as I say. Thanks very much for watching.